go ahead and look at numbers 9 and 10. We want to find the variables given that the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Okay, this helps us out because we know that the two angles side by side from each other are going to equal 180 degrees. And we know that, let's see, this is a parallel line to this one. So that would make that a diagonal, which means this equals the same as this. This is 32. Okay, and then this one equals the same as this one, so this one's 36. And we know that because they are alternate interior angles. Alright, and the next part you have to remember is that the consecutive angles in a parallelogram, that means these two angles here, if you add them up, you get 180 degrees. Okay, that means if I add up this angle plus this angle, I get 180 degrees. So first off, what's 32 plus 36? It's 68 degrees. So if I take 180 and I subtract 68 degrees, I'm going to have whatever this angle here is. 180 minus 68, let's see. That's going to be 112. So I have 112 degrees, and that means that 8x equals 112. I divide 112 by 8. And I get 14. Divide by 8, divide by 8, x equals 14. Okay, so I have x equals 14. Now also on this side, in a parallelogram, the two opposite sides are going to be equal. Okay, so we said that 8x was equal to 112. That means that 14y is also equal to 112. So if I divide that by 14 and divide that one by 14, I get y equals 8. Okay, so that's really the two things you need to remember, is that because it's a parallelogram, we have alternate interior angles, and that the consecutive angles, the ones that are side by side, so those two there added together equal 180 degrees. And another thing about parallelograms is that the opposite angles are the same measurement. Okay, and on number 10, a lot of you missed this one. This is a 90-degree angle. If you have one 90-degree angle in a parallelogram, you actually have 4 of them. It means all of the angles are 90 degrees. So this means that 5y equals 90 degrees, and 4x also equals 90 degrees. And here you would simply divide by 5. And here you would divide by 4. And you can do those in your calculator, but that is how you would solve those two problems right there. The next problem, using the distance formula. Okay, now I noticed that several of you attempted this, but you didn't finish it. I have on your little redo sheet this formula. You're going to plug them in for all 4 of these. So I should see 4 distance formulas shown. And I think only a few people in total actually did all 4 distance formulas. So I gave you another hint like LO, which means you would use these 2 points right here for that one. And then the next one was OV, and you'd use those 2 points. Okay, so when you're filling them in, you're going to do the x's first, all right? And the x is always the first digit. So you're going to do 8 and 6, and then you're going to do the y's. So we have x's and then y's. The y's, I have 2 and I have -1. Okay, and remember that whenever we have minus a negative, we can change it to a plus, and then we just simply solve. 8 minus 6 is 2, and we have 2 squared, plus 2 plus 1 is 3, So we have 3 squared. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. So we have the square root of 4 plus 9, which is 13. Now all of these should be in houses, but when I'm working them out, I usually don't put the houses until the end. So I have the square root of 13, and I'm going to leave it like that. Once I have all 4 of our little distance formulas done, you should have 2 that equal this and 2 that equal another number. If you do not have 2 sets of equal numbers, then you do not have a parallelogram. EMIL is a rectangle. Find the variables. Okay, it says that measure of angle LEI, this one right here, equals 2x plus 3. And that MEI, this one right here, equals x plus 6. Alright, well, that's good. This also helps us out a lot. We have one 90-degree angle, which means we have 4 90-degree angles. All of these angles here are 90 degrees. So I know what they add up to. I know if I add them up together, I get 90 degrees. So I'm going to say 2x plus 3 plus x plus 6 equals 90. I still can't fit that in there. 90. There we go. So I'm going to add up all my x's. 2x plus 1x is 3x. And then I'm going to add up all my numbers. 3 plus 6 is 9. So I have 3x plus 9 equals 90 degrees. And then I just simply solve it. Subtract 9. 3x equals 81. And then divide by 3. So I have x equals something. Okay, and all it wants is the variables. That means the x or the y. Okay, and in this case it's going to be an x2. In this one it's going to be a y. And this one is going to be an x. Okay, they always want the variables, which are just x's and y's. Now for the second problem, ly. Let's see. Ly is this section right here. It is 2x plus 3. And ym, which is this section right here, equals 5x minus 9. Okay, well that's great and everything, but how do I solve it? Well, we know that this is a rectangle. And on rectangles, the diagonals cut each other in half equally, which means that this side equals this side. So I'm simply going to set it up as 2x plus 3 equals 5x minus 9. And then solve for x. I'm going to move, let's see, probably be easier if I move the 2x over here first. Okay, that gives me 3 left over equals 3x minus 9. And then I've got to move the 9 over, so I'm going to add 9. Add 9. And that cancels that. Have 12 equals 3x. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. X equals 4. Okay, so remember on a rectangle, the diagonals bisect each other, which means they cut them in half so the two parts are equal. Alright, our third problem, EI, that's this whole section here. That equals 16y minus 8. And ML, which is this whole section here, equals 14y plus 6. Okay, to solve this one, you have to know that the diagonals in a rectangle are equal. So that equals that one. So all it is setting it up. 16y minus 8 equals 14y plus 6. And then solving it algebraically. I'm going to subtract 14y because it's smaller than 16. That gives me 2y minus 8 equals 6. I'm going to add 8. Add 8. So I have 2y equals 14, and then I would divide by 2, so y equals 7. Okay, On this part right here, you have to remember the diagonals are equal to each other. And finally, MI, which is this section right here. This equals 30 minus x. And EL, which is this part right here, equals 4x minus 6. And on a rectangle, the opposite sides are equal. So same thing here. 30 minus x, which is this side, equals 4x minus 60. I'm going to go ahead and move this x over. So I have 30 equals 5x minus 60. Then I'm going to move the 60 over by adding it. So I have 90 equals 5x. And I would divide by 5. Okay, this is a rectangle. Find the angles. Okay, measure of angle 1 is 68 degrees. So this is 68. If this is a rectangle, all of the angles equal 90 degrees. So this is going to be 90 minus 68, which is 22. Okay, and because this is a rectangle, we have parallel sides, which means we have alternate interior angles. So this one's also 22. And then that means simply that, well, that means 3 and 6 would be equal. Also means we have this one equals 68 because these two are going to be equal since these two are equal. And we know that these two are equal because the diagonals cut each other in half and the diagonals are equal. So all 4 of these sides here are equal, which gives us an isosceles triangle, which means if these two sides are equal, these two angles are equal. Okay, same thing for this triangle. This side is equal to this side, which means this angle has to be equal to this angle. Okay, same thing over here. 22 from 90 is 68. So this one's going to be 68. And then this one is going to be 22. Okay, so we figured out all of those. And now we've got to figure out the middle ones. To do that, I'm going to look at one triangle at a time. I know that the sum of the measures of the insides of the triangle equal 180. So I'm going to add 68 plus 68. 16, 12, 13. And I'm going to take that away from 180. That's 4, 4, so that's 44 degrees. And I know that this angle and this angle are vertical angles, which means this one's 44 degrees. And to find this angle here, I would take 180, because this is a straight line, 180 minus 44, which is 136. And that means this is 136 too. All right. And this is a rhombus. This is GM is 6y plus 4. GE is 4y plus 8. And YO equals 8. Find the following. Y. Okay. Well, on a rhombus, all of the sides are equal. So this side equals this side. Okay, so you're going to set it up 6y plus 4 equals 4y plus 8. The two sides, all the sides of a rhombus are equal. All sides are equal, so you're going to make them equal to each other. I'm going to subtract 4y. So I have 2y plus 4 equals 8. Subtract 4. 2y equals 4, divide by 2, y equals 2. Okay, remember that these numbers are not what you're going to put on your test, but this is how you're going to solve these problems. EO I want to know the length of this. Okay, I know it's equal to all the other sides, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in y equals 2. So I can say that this equals 6y plus 4. And I know that if y equals 2, I have 6y plus 4. I'm going to plug in 2, so I have 6 times 2 plus 4, which is 12, plus 4, which is 16. Which means that this side is 16, and this side is 16, and this side is 16. Measure of GYE. GYE. I want this angle. If this is 90 degrees, they are all 90 degrees. And EYO. I want this angle, and like I said, if one is 90 degrees, they are all 90 degrees.